Female leopard gives birth to 2 rare cubs. A few minutes later, a miracle happens. The forest held its breath in the heavy stillness of early dawn. Mist clung to the undergrowth, dampening the ground in a fine silvery sheen. A female leopard moved slowly through a shallow ravine, her muscles taut beneath her spotted coat. She paused often, ears twitching at the smallest sound, her body already whispering the urgency of the moment. Her time had come, and every step now was dictated by instinct and the weight she carried within. She chose her shelter carefully, a hollow beneath a fallen tree where roots twisted together, creating a chamber shielded from view. The world outside continued its rhythm, birds stirring, insects calling, but inside, the air thickened with anticipation. The leopard circled once, then lowered herself, her flanks heaving with deep, deliberate breaths. Her eyes glimmered in the dim light, not with fear but with focus, her entire body folding inward to the task of birth. Her tail curled across the ground, twitching in uneven rhythm as contractions rippled through her sides. For long minutes she lay still, only the faint tremor of her whiskers betraying the strain building within. Then a soft, almost imperceptible sound broke the silence, the first cub emerging into the world. The leopard turned immediately, tongue rasping across the damp fur, coaxing warmth into fragile life. A small body stirred weakly, its cries muffled against the earth, but its heartbeat strong. She drew it close against her belly, pressing warmth into its trembling frame. Moments stretched, heavy yet sacred. Then another wave of strain rippled through her. She shifted, claws digging lightly into the soil, body tense with effort. A second cub slipped free, smaller but alive, its thin cries piercing the enclosed den. The leopard wasted no time. She licked steadily, her rough tongue both drying and stimulating until the fragile body stirred with breath. 2 small beings, rare and vulnerable, pressed now against the soft curve of her stomach. Their spotted coats were faint, only whispers of the markings they would grow into. She curled her body protectively around them, eyes half closed, breath slowing as relief mingled with exhaustion. The forest outside continued unaware. A wood dove cooed in the distance, and a shaft of light began to filter weakly through the canopy. But inside the den, the rhythm of life had shifted. 2 cubs had entered the world, and the silence wrapped itself around them like a blessing. The mother lay still, listening to the tiny squeaks that rose intermittently from her young. Their movements were small, paws pressing blindly against her fur, muzzles nuzzling in search of milk. She shifted gently, guiding them, her patience as steady as the earth itself. For a long time, nothing more stirred. The leopard's ears flicked at every sound outside, but her focus never left the fragile warmth pressed against her. She had given birth in secrecy, as her kind had always done, unseen by the world except for the forest itself. In the stillness, there was only breath, the heavy breath of a mother recovering and the small, uncertain sounds of 2 cubs beginning life. The day would come when they would walk, when their spots would darken, when they would follow her into the tall grass and climb trees under her watchful gaze. But for now, they were only whispers of life, fragile yet undeniable. And though no one knew it yet, a miracle was waiting just beyond these first breaths. The den was quiet, heavy with the warmth of new life. The 2 cubs pressed blindly against their mother's belly, tiny bodies twitching as they nursed. Their coats, faintly golden with pale rosettes, gleamed where the light slipped through the roots. The leopard curled around them, her breath steady, her tongue rasping gently across their fur to coax warmth into fragile bodies. Outside, the forest stirred. Birds called, monkeys chattered faintly, but within the hollow there was only breath, the heavy rhythm of a mother and the small mewls of her young. 1 cub wriggled with restless energy, while the smaller pressed weakly against her flank, trembling faintly. She drew it closer, warming it with her body, her eyes softening in the dim light. A rustle broke the calm. The leopard lifted her head sharply, muscles taut, ears pricked toward the brush. The cubs whimpered at her sudden stillness. For long minutes the sound lingered, then faded back into the forest's hum. She lowered herself again, curling her body protectively. The cubs mewed softly, one stronger, the other fragile. She pressed her nose against the smaller, her breath steadying its tiny frame. Around them, the forest carried on, unaware that something rare and delicate had just begun, and that a miracle was waiting. Just beyond these first breaths, The heat of midday pressed against the forest, but the den stayed cool beneath its curtain of roots. The leopard lay curled, her flanks rising slowly, her eyes half closed yet never resting fully. The cub shifted fitfully, one stronger, the other fragile, their tiny squeaks carrying softly into the dim hollow. She nudged them close, licking their coats with patient rhythm, every stroke coaxing life into delicate frames. Outside, a stir of movement rippled through the brush. Her ears flicked sharply, her body tensing without a sound. A shadow passed, the faint tread of a warthog moving through the undergrowth, unaware of the secret held so close. The leopard did not move, though her muscles quivered with readiness. Her eyes tracked the faintest shift of light until the sound faded, swallowed by distance. Only then did her breath ease again, low and steady. The cubs mewled, blind muzzles pressing against her belly. The smaller, once weak, found her warmth with greater certainty now, tiny paws kneading instinctively. The mother's whiskers twitched as she bent low, brushing her nose against its side. A miracle was unfolding quietly, strength gathering where only weakness had been before. The forest continued its endless rhythm, but inside the den a rare promise had been born. Two fragile lives, against all odds, had begun to hold steady. The forest deepened into late afternoon, the light turning amber as it threaded through the canopy. Inside the den, the leopard stirred, her body stiff from hours of stillness. The cubs pressed close, one wriggling with restless strength, the other slower but no longer fragile. Both nuzzled blindly, their mules rising softly, answered by her steady rumble of breath. She shifted gently, guiding them to her belly, patience flowing through every movement. Outside, cicadas sang in chorus, filling the forest with a rising hum. The leopard's ears flicked at each note, alert even as she lay. A breeze carried the scent of antelope across the ridge, stirring a hunger she forced down. For now her world was narrowed to this hollow, two small bodies and the fragile promise of survival. The stronger cub pushed forward, paws pressing into her fur with determination. The smaller followed, steadier than before, its faint squeaks carrying more strength than they had in the morning. She bent low, whiskers brushing across their tiny frames, her nose drawing in their scent, memorizing what was hers to protect. The miracle lay not in their birth alone, but in their persistence. Two rare lives carving a place in a world that offered no guarantees. As the forest darkened, the leopard curled her body tightly around them, spots blending into shadow. The den exhaled with warmth, and the rhythm of life, fragile yet unbroken, carried them into the coming night. Night descended slowly, draping the forest in shadow and cool air. The hollow beneath the roots was hushed, the only sound the soft rhythm of a mother's breath and the faint mewls of her cubs. She shifted her weight, curling tighter as if to build walls of warmth against the dark. The stronger cub pressed firmly into her side, while the smaller, once frail, stretched weakly and released a sound stronger than before. Its tiny body, warmed and steadied through the long day, had found a rhythm of survival. The leopard bent low, brushing her nose against each cub, her whiskers quivering with recognition. She had guarded them through their first fragile hours, and now the forest seemed to offer its quiet approval. The cicadas softened, and the wind carried only the scent of grass bending under its weight. Even the distant calls of night birds seemed less intrusive, as though the wilderness itself understood the miracle unfolding in silence. The smaller cub nestled close, its breathing steady, its voice stronger than it had been at birth. What had seemed uncertain only hours before now glimmered with possibility. Against all odds, both lives had taken hold. The leopard's eyes glowed faintly in the dusk, watching the dark horizon beyond the den. The forest would soon demand more of her, hunting, guarding, teaching, but for now this was enough. She lay still, two rare cubs pressed against her, while the land around them exhaled softly into the night.